We're back in Sanur having a bit of a walk around. I'm down at Jalan Kuta Lestari in the west side of the bypass, sort of a residential area. You will have remembered if you watched all of my videos, which I know not everyone does, but like if you'd watched some of my earlier videos, you would have seen this big complex here. It's like an apartment complex, 4 stories, and it's been going on for a really long time now, this construction, but it just looks really nice and quite interesting. The way that it's been designed and the way that it's sort of looking now. Hello, how are you? Good. Yeah.
Konten YouTube.
YouTube, ya. Masih lama ini. Berapa lama lagi?
Sebentar ini sudah.
Sebentar.
Sebentar.
Oh, Bapak dari mana aslinya?
Java, Jember, Jawa Timur.
Ya, Jawa Timur, Jember. I really like that blue detailing, but it's actually just a sticker that's on the side of the window frame. I reckon it looks good with the blue and the terracotta look. But anyway, that's going to all be pulled off when the windows get put in properly, I'd imagine. But it just looks really cool. I wonder what it's going to look like in the end. Like, is it going to be like a Western style apartment complex, or is it going to be more Indonesian style, or how's it going to go? But it looks pretty good at the moment. I'll be interested to see what that looks like when it sort of gets built, and I wonder how much the units in there are going to cost, because property prices are just so expensive at the moment here in Bali. Like a block of land is really expensive, but construction is still fairly reasonable, to be honest. Like it's not cheap, but it's fairly reasonable. So it'll be interesting to see what the markup is on those places, because obviously the land's not very big, but they're stuffing a lot of units onto it. I don't know, it'll probably be a good solution for a lot of people, I reckon, having a little apartment like that. I know you can rent some apartment style places around here for about 6.5 million a month. You've got to do your homework. You can go cheaper, but the ones that I sort of know that I like are about 6.5 million a month. So that being brand new, you would have to say it's going to be a bit more expensive, but it can't be a lot more expensive, because you can get a house for not a lot more than that. I'm on my way to one of my favourite little cafes called Dapur Deli. Susan's already down there. I'm going to meet her down there. She rode a motorbike and I'm walking there. It's a nice little spot, really sort of suburban style cafe. Not fancy, but good. Yeah, they don't try and be anything that they're not. And yeah, just everything they do is just very good. Sandwiches, like brekkies or in the coffees and stuff. They're just really nice. I'll show you what it's like. Okay, this is it. There you go. There's Susan. Anyway, that's the sort of look to the place. That look, almost like old, like an old school building, but really nice. No AC, it's just all fans and stuff. Now the thing about this place, they've got heaps of salads on the menu. So if you really want to eat a little bit more healthily, you can get your salads here. Heaps of sandwiches. Their sort of thing is that they are like more home style, home cooked meals. They've got a big vegan menu, but it's not a vegan cafe. Like, don't let it put you off. But they do have a vegan menu, which if you're into vegan food, that's really cool. But they also do just standard continental breakfast, or muesli, or smoothie bowls, all that sort of stuff, a few pastries. So this is what the coffee looks like, and that's a little homemade biscuit on the side. Let's check it out. Like an Anzac biscuit. Now that coffee today is quite hot. I'm going to give it a go. I wonder if it's too hot. I'm not sure. It's like pretty close to the edge of being too hot. Oh, it's pretty close, No, I think it's drinkable. That's a good start. It's actually a pretty good coffee here. The best thing about this place is that it's just so relaxed. It just has that feel about it where it's just totally relaxed. The food's good, coffee's good. They've got a bit of music on, they've got the fan going. It's quite a Balinese feel, even though it's a sort of Western styled cafe. It has a Balinese feel because of the weather, and it's not too hot in here because I've got the fans blowing. So if you're over on the west side, you probably should check this place out. I think it's worth a look, actually. Especially if you like walking around the streets and you think, I'll go up that road, drop in here for sure. It's one of my favourite cafes over here on the west side. So I got myself a little chocolate croissant. They call it chocolatine. I don't know why we call it chocolate croissant when it's not even a crescent shape, but anyway. Pretty good. They heat it up for you so all that chocolate's all melty in the middle, and yeah, just nice to have on a morning, I guess. Okay, we're moving on towards the bypass. So down the end of this street, If you go straight down the end, you get to the Bali Mandara Hospital. That's that really big hospital here in Sanur. It's the one that's been around a little bit longer than that new international one. It's at the southern end of town on the bypass. I've never been there. I know people who have been there and sort of felt that they had good service there. So, like if I had an incident, that's where I would go because it's the closest hospital to me. And they do have a cath lab there, so that if you have a heart attack, there are some interventions they can do to help you out. Whether it's the best option or not, it's hard to know, isn't it, really? Because when you've got a medical emergency, it's often best just to get to the first doctor you can get to, the first hospital, and then decide from there where you might need to be transported to. It's a really tough one. I've thought about these things a little bit, about how I'm going to handle things if I do have an emergency. And I mean, the only thing I can really come up with is just get down to this hospital and see what happens. Hello. Hello. Lagi apa? Lagi makan. Makan. Ya, ayo makan. Makan apa? Makan sarapan atau siang? Siang. Agak awal ya kalau agak kepagian. Kalian kerja di mana? Kerja di rumah sakit. Ya. Sebagai apa biasanya? Sebagai bos. Bos. Big boss. Big boss. Bosor. CS. Jadi biasanya kerja berapa? 8 jam. Mulai jam berapa biasanya?
6 sampai jam 2.
Jam 6 sampai jam 2. Ya. Okay. Have a nice. Silakan makan. Enjoy your food. Ya. Ya. Kenapa?
Kata-kata.
Kata-kata? Kata-kata apa?
No. Ini
Crazy. There we go. Bule gila. Saya. Often, I'm quite, especially in Sanur, I'm usually quite, I don't go up and approach people very much who are sort of working or doing stuff unless they say something to me first. That's usually what happens in Sanur. In other places, I find that people are much more curious. So outside of the tourist areas, people are much more curious. So I can just walk up to anyone, have a chat, and they're happy. In fact, I get called over all the time in other places. In Sanur, not so often. So when I do get called over like that, like those guys are eating, if they call me over, well, yeah, I'm going to go and have a chat. But yeah, it just doesn't happen so much in Sanur because I think, well, it's a tourist area, isn't it? So the locals are obviously surrounded by foreigners all the time, so it's no big deal to speak to a foreigner. I'm actually walking down the edge of the bypass at the moment towards the area of Kuta. It's not a pleasant place to walk, but I just wanted to have a bit of an explore, and I've only ever just seen that right now. It's called Stasiun Pompa Sanur, the Sanur pump station. I don't know what they're pumping, but maybe they're pumping water to people's houses. So there is town water in Indonesia, but not everyone's got it. So at my house, for example, I get my water for showers and washing and so forth from a well with a pump. And that's the most common way that people get water in Indonesia. In a lot of areas, they do have piped water, but often it's unreliable and often you can't get it either. It just depends on where you are. And you have to pay for it, whereas if you just dig a well and pump, it costs you nothing. Well, that's pretty cool. Bali Fire Shooting Club. There's an indoor shooting range there. Well, that's interesting. If you like, if you like guns, firearms, there's a firearms indoor shooting range. I didn't even know that was there. Well, I go past all these places all the time, but when you're in a vehicle, well, you don't even see it, do you? You just fly past. You don't really sort of take a lot of notice of what's going on the side of the road. All right, we're getting down to this place. Let's have a look. What's going on over here? There's a fence that we've got to jump over, it looks like. We are. I'm over. It's called Embung Sanur, and I don't even really know what the purpose of it is. I think it might be flood mitigation, but I don't know. Like, it's made by the water people. I've never been here before. Well, there's some sort of competition going on at the moment. What's that? It's a drag race paddling. Drag race paddling. So that's happening on the weekend, so 11th and 12th. Interesting. So this is sort of like a little jogging track and walking track as well that that's in here in Sanur. Like, it's at the very southern end. It's not somewhere that most people are going to come. I don't think I've ever really seen too many people here before. When I've come past on the motorbike, always looks a little bit empty. Just saw these little fences here. They look a little bit curious. It's not like one straight fence. It's got like little gaps in it, like in there. You can get in there. Well, you can't because there's a forest of weeds in there. But it looks like it's designed, I don't know why it's designed like that. It's a bit interesting, isn't it? That appears to be the boats that they're going to be drag racing in. And those sort of inflatables around that lake there. So this is called Embung Sanur. It's not a word I'm familiar with, Embung. I think Embung, it has a meaning in Sundanese language from West Java, but in Balinese it won't be the same word for sure. So it's a little bit strange what that word is, Embung. I probably should research it, shouldn't I? It probably means something like artificial lake or dam or flood abatement or something like that, like it probably does. Leave a comment if you know what Embung means. I'll probably already know by the time you watch this, because I would have Googled it by the time I got home, I reckon. But it looks pretty cool, eh? Like, look at that. Nice little area. I wonder if there's lots of events down here. Like, I've never seen an event. This is an event that's happening, the first one I've seen. And it seems to be set up quite nicely to be a place where you can have events. Like, there's little places for nongkrong and that sort of thing. Like, there's no trees. That's one of the big misgivings here, is that you really need a lot of trees for shade, otherwise it's too hot. On the subject of being too hot, things have cooled down just a little bit here in Sanur, here in Bali. So for the past month, 3 weeks probably, it's been very, very hot here. The dry season has arrived, but the cool season hasn't, so you've had hot and dry. But a couple of nights ago we had a thunderstorm. It wasn't a big one at all. Like, it pelted down, but it didn't go for long. And there was lightning and it made a bit of a racket and that sort of stuff. But the next morning, it was just cool. It was just cool, like properly cool. And it was just so nice. And since then, it hasn't been quite as hot. It's still hot, but it's just not as hot as it was. As I was saying that word, embung, it sort of got me thinking about the vowels that we use in Indonesian that for many Australians are really difficult to pronounce, because especially in the Australian accent, the vowels are totally different. For Europeans, it's much easier, but for Australians, it's really difficult. So I probably should explain how those vowels work, shouldn't I? So I've just jumped back over the other side of the bypass, and it's just forest in there. That's just all mangroves. So the southern side of Sanur is bounded by a mangrove forest. That's what sort of breaks up Sanur from the rest of the southern part of Bali, a big mangrove forest. So that's the southern end of it. In there, it's just thick jungle. So for Aussies, the U sound, most of the time we say ah. For example, hunt or bunt or some other words that are like that. You have that really, really clear U sound, and it's different in Indonesian. So the U sound in Indonesian is usually U, like in book. So as an Aussie, you'd say book. That's how the U sound always sounds in Indonesian. So once you've got that sorted out, you can then take a word like Kuta, and you say, well, if I have to say the word like from book, well, it's not Kuta, is it? It's like Kuta. And it is, it's Kuta. You don't sort of say Kuta, that U. It's like Ubud is. It's not Ubud, it's Ubud, Ubud. There's heaps of like place names that you can sort of use it straight off. So remember that word from book, U. So Ubud, Kuta. What other ones do we have? Tanjung, yeah, not Tanjung. Tanjung, which is Tanjung Benoa, Tanjung Benoa. Actually, I might go over the side of this canal. This canal's a really cool place to come in Sanur. You can walk there from the centre of town if you like to walk. I'll show you how to get here actually. So yeah, another word is Sanur. It's a classic one. Like we always say, and I do too, Sanur. No, hang on, what do I say? Sanur, Sanur. Yeah, I mean, that's clearly wrong. We all know that. But it should be Sanur, Sanur, like book, Sanur, Sanur. Put the R on the end. Well, you don't have to roll it if you don't want, if you can't roll them. Sanur, Sanur. Yeah? So that's how the U is always pronounced. So just keep that in mind. If you're trying to pronounce a word that's got a U in it, make it sound like the ooh. If you're Australian, the ooh from book. For British, it's a lot easier, and for European, it's a lot easier because I think a lot of Europeans and British already have those sounds that match anyway. Like they would naturally say something like Sanur or Ubud or Kuta. Well, might not say like Kuta. That's like sounds like Indian or something. But yeah, you get the story. Now the other one that's really interesting is the letter A. Now the reason I bring up the letter A is that the way you say it is the way that you say the letter U in English, in Australian English. For example, hunt, yeah? That U sound that you're making when you say hunt is actually the way that Indonesians will say the letter A. So if there was a word which was H-A-N-T in Indonesian, they would say hunt, yeah? So you sort of got how you can just transfer those sounds that you already know from a vowel that you already know. So if you see letter A in Indonesian, it's always like the letter U in Australian English. So Sanur is Sanur, yeah? It almost sounds like we would be saying SU, doesn't it? Sa, but it's not, it's SA, it's Sanur. So you can also put that into other places in Sanur, for example, or Kuta. Jalan, yeah, means road, jalan, yeah, jalan, danau, tumblingan, tumblingan. So, yeah, it's not Tamberlingen, it's tumblingan. Now, when you get a little bit more advanced, you can then start deciding which letters you want to stress more and all that sort of stuff. It's complicated when you start talking about that because there are some people who will say that like the second last syllable has to be stressed, and then other people will say no, they're all neutral and equal. But I think it's context based as well, and it's also if you're getting excited about something or if you're angry, you can really start stressing different syllables as well, and it's okay. It's not like you're in Chinese language where there's all these weird tonal rules or anything. It's not like that. A bit more flexible in Indonesian. And the last one that I want to talk about is the letter I. Now, of course, it's I, yeah, and we say that in Australian English as well. But one of the things that we do in Australian English is this. Is if we have a word with two syllables that has an I in the second syllable, for example, solid, we say solid. We don't really say the I, we don't say solid, do we? Yeah, it's, or rabbit, we don't say it's a rabbit, we say rabbit, yeah? But in Indonesian, you never take that little shortcut like that. You never really just close it off, that I. You always say it very specifically, otherwise it sounds stupid. So you've got to be not lazy. You've got to be really strongly trying to say those letters as they're supposed to be pronounced. And if you don't, you sound a bit funny. So when we start saying it as foreigners and we start pronouncing tumblingan, it sounds, well, to our ear, it sounds a bit weird, yeah? It sounds so awkward. When I first started doing it, I thought, God, that can't be the way you say it. It sounds ridiculous. But it is, tumblingan. So that I, you don't say tamblingen, yeah? Tamblingen or tamblingan. No, tumblingan. And it sort of goes to other words that you might be familiar with, like, orangutan. I think we even say orangutan sometimes. But that's an Indonesian word or a Malay word, orang utan, yeah? So they say all those letters really specifically, orang utan. Yeah, sounds nothing like orangutan. First time I said that to my friends, I said the word orang utan, and they looked at me like I was crazy. Because the way that you're supposed to say it in Indonesian is obviously not the way that we say it in English. Oh yeah, by the way, there's a little temple down here off the canal. Now, we're not going to go inside the temple, but we're just going to go down the path that leads to the temple because it's a little cool place to go. I think I've been down here once before on one of my videos, but it's stuck right in the middle of the mangrove forest. I wonder when this temple was built, what was here, whether it was a mangrove forest at the time. I've got a funny feeling this mangrove forest has not been here forever. I can hear some chopping going on down here. Not sure what that's all about. So when you're learning all of those new words, I think it's really important to try and learn them with an accent. So the word saya, which means I, don't say saya, say saya, yeah? I think it's important just to get those things right. Now, you're not going to be perfect. Like, I'm not perfect with the way I pronounce things either. But as long as you know what the rules are, then you can get sort of closer to what you're supposed to be. Here's the temple down here. Yeah. Probably dude sorting out the rubbish down here, because there's obviously a lot of people come down here to pray, and they bring all the offerings and prayer stuff. So, well, that's interesting. I wonder if that sort of leads in there. No, it doesn't. Oh, they're building something down here. Let's have a look. I'm not sure I've been down here before. Where does this go? There's the path though, and that goes down to a little temple over there. Oh, there's little temples all the way through here, and then there's this one here right at the end. How cool is that? A little coral temple. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful, that. Nice little place just to come and have a bit of a wander anyway. If you're going for a walk anyway, definitely pop in here. That's interesting. That looks like a little Buddha over there on that Hindu temple. Interesting. That crossover between Hinduism and Buddhism, I don't really understand too much. I'm sure plenty of you do, but I know throughout Java, for example, there is that massive crossover between Hinduism and Buddhism, and it seems like they blend in some ways as well. It's not like there's just two completely separate streams. Way back there at the start of the video, or close to the start of the video, after I went to the cafe, I met those guys from the hospital that were currently having lunch. And one of the guys said to me, "Oh, he's crazy." And then immediately I shot back with Bule Gila. Now, the reason I said that is because it's a really interesting cultural thing as well. Bule Gila is not just, so Bule means white person. Some can mean foreigner generally, but usually white person, because it comes from the word albino comes from that word, and then that's being used for white people. But sometimes it does get used just generally for foreigners, but let's just say it's white people. And then Gila means crazy. So you can just say crazy white person. But there's also like a cultural phenomenon around that. And that is that there's this perception, and they probably are right, that there are lots of crazy white people around. Like, they encounter a lot of white people who are genuinely crazy. And it's funny because Bali does tend to draw a lot of weird people to it, a lot of weird foreigners who are genuinely a bit ill, you know what I mean? So there's this term, Bule Gila, and it gets thrown around quite a lot, but you can also joke about it as well. And I just called that guy crazy white person. Just, doesn't really make sense, but it doesn't really have to, does it? I've been so busy chatting, I haven't really talked about the creek, the canal. So the word for canal in Indonesian is canal. So that's an easy one. You already know the word for that one. Just got to say it a bit better. Look at those beautiful, beautiful statues. Now, this is another temple that's down this end of Sanur as well. It's quite an important one, I understand. It's called Pura Dalam Pengembak. Yeah, it's part of the Intaran traditional village, and it's an important one here in Denpasar. Like, we're part of Denpasar, even though we're not in the city, we're part of the Denpasar city. And this particular temple is really important. So a lot of people do come here, and from what I understand, it's used for melukat. Now, melukat is it's like spiritual cleansing ceremony that people do. Like if you're a bit stressed or you've got too many problems on your mind, you're a bit pusing, which is another good word to remember. This is where you come and do your purification or spiritual cleansing ceremony. I'm going to go down here until I can go no further. So you're allowed down here without the ceremonial stuff on, but you won't be able to go into the temple itself. So I'll just make sure I don't go into any place I'm not supposed to. Let's go back to the word pusing though. That's an interesting one. So pusing literally means dizzy. Yeah, it literally means that, but people use it in a different way. quite often people will say, well, let's say if you're a little bit nauseous, you might go, oh, pusing, yeah? But you also might do that if you're stressed. All right, there's the temple in there. I can't really get in, but I'll show you over the wall. Yeah, that's basically it. It's a pretty big one. So you can say, oh, I wonder if this is used for the purification over here. That's what it looks like. Because usually the purification is done with water, and that looks like some sort of system they use there. The water will be blessed by the priest, and then you mandi with it, you bathe with it. Now they've got little procedures for how you do the melukat there, but it's in Balinese language and I don't understand that, so I can't really translate it for you. But there's obviously a procedure that you can do as well, and like there's different steps that you do around the place. Anyway, getting back to pussing, a lot of people will say pussing when they're like if you've been at work for a while and the pressure's been building for months and you're just sort of, you may be breaking down a little bit, you're sort of going a little bit crazy, you can just say, oh, pussing, I've got too many thoughts at the moment, it's just driving me crazy. You can also say it when you might be in a negotiation with someone and you're just getting frustrated. Like you can get frustrated with someone in a negotiation, and then you can also say you're pussing in that sort of situation. Oh, pussing, orang ini, just getting frustrated with this person. Yeah. And there's another temple there. It looks almost like a Chinese temple there, doesn't it? And it appears to be another bathing area down there where you can do your melukat. So that's what it is. Pretty interesting place down here. Really nice, really nice. Sometimes it's difficult to know where you're allowed to go in temples and that sort of stuff in Bali because you don't know the rules. So I make a point of asking a local where I'm allowed to go. So before I came in here, I asked the local guy, where can I go? And he explained, you can go here, 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 and here. Don't go into that section over there, is what he told me. So that's why I didn't go in there. And you just don't want to commit any sort of cultural faux pas either, It sometimes happens when you do stuff accidentally, but if you do it with good intention and you're trying to do the right thing and you ask the right questions and you do it respectfully, people understand that you can make mistakes, yeah? Like I wouldn't go in there, like that's a little fence and gate in there, the dog's in there, but like I wouldn't go in there because the guy said don't go in there, yeah? So that's sort of, that's what I try and do. I try and ask people and get an understanding of what I'm not allowed to do, and then I just don't do it. That's not to say I haven't committed my own faux pas in the past. Like, you make mistakes sometimes, and it's embarrassing when you do little things like that. I can remember a few that I've done. Like I was once at a ceremony. There was like hundreds of people at this ceremony. I was with an Indonesian or a Balinese friend, and I was in all the traditional clothes and all that sort of stuff. And I stuck out like a sore thumb. Like people could see I didn't know what I was doing. But I got up one time just to move and I tripped over someone. And it was embarrassing. I tripped over someone and I'm in front of everyone and it just looked bad. You know what I mean? Like one of those embarrassing moments. I think back on it, I'm cringing to myself. Those embarrassing moments when you cringe. And, people understand that, you've got no idea what you're doing. There's a little map here and it's sort of showing you the measurement of that's where the sort of the temple is located, and all the blue area is called Taman Hutan Raya Ngurah Rai. Yeah, usually you can call it Tahura or THR, which is an abbreviation. And so it's all been measured out and officially documented where the borders are for all the different things, like the temple and the forest. So that whole mangrove forest is designated as Taman Hutan Raya. Yeah, Taman means park or garden. Yeah, park is probably a good one. It's a sort of flexible word, but yeah, let's say park or garden. Hutan means forest or jungle. Yeah, a treed area. Raya is like main or principal or big or that sort of word. So when you say Taman Hutan Raya, it's like a national park. Yeah, that's basically what it is. A forestry area, a forestry park. I mean, it doesn't have a direct translation because we wouldn't say that in English, but it's that sort of thing, a big park. Yeah, so that's basically the story, what that is. And then Ngurah is obviously that hero, that Indonesian or Balinese hero from the Second World War who fought against the colonial forces. A very important figure. That's why you've got obviously there's kids running along the car and it's chaos. And that's why you've got the airport named after Ngurah Rai, and you've got the bypass is named after Ngurah Rai. So this is where the canal outlets into the ocean, but because it's tidal, it sometimes flows backwards. So at the moment, you can see it flowing left to right, and the ocean is just around the corner there. So obviously the tide's coming in at the moment and filling this up, and then, yeah, it goes in and out. I mean, it looks a bit dirty at the moment. There's always a bit of rubbish in there, but it looks a little bit dirtier. On that canal, they do have rubbish collectors, like people and machines. So they filter the river. So they've got these big grates on there that filters it all, and then that can be cleaned up by the local, cleaners that are employed to sort of look after that little area. Without that, there would be so much rubbish coming down that river because it just gets clogged with people throwing stuff in there. And at the moment, we're in a bit of a rubbish crisis here in Bali, and it's getting a little bit worse. I mean, you don't see it in most of the tourist areas, to be honest. I mean, they do a pretty good job of cleaning up all the hotels and that sort of stuff, but businesses and private households are having trouble with rubbish at the moment. So we're coming into the car park of Pantai Mertasari at the moment. This is the car park here. That's the southern terminus of the Sanur shuttle bus, which costs 5,000 per trip. If you keep going further south, you can go across a little bridge there to a place called Muntig Siokan. There are some camels down there. It's a weird little beach. I mean, I don't know what the purpose of it is, but it's worth having a look at anyway. There's your little sign for Pantai Mertasari. So this area is actually probably further south than most people come when they visit Sanur. If you go along that beachfront path, it actually ends over there. And once you get off that, you come through this car park and head over in that direction. That's when you get to the canal and those couple of temples. So that's why I sort of wanted to show you it, because there's more to this place just outside some of those places that you might be familiar with. There was a dude with a kite over here. Because the wind's picking up already, I guess people are starting to fly their kites. I think that one's called Kuir. I think that one. I always get them mixed up. There's different names for the different kites. So they've got that big one there going. There we go. So the breeze is actually coming directly into my face at the moment. So the wind has changed a little bit, and that sort of marks the start of this dry period. It's quite beautiful down here. Lots of stray dogs around the place. If you love your dogs, come down and sort of interact with the dogs down here and maybe help them out a little bit if they need to be desexed or whatever. Help them get to the vet or whatever.
Please subscribe. Please subscribe. Stay up to date.
I got some crazy people over here screaming and shouting.
Stay up to date for Sanur and the rest of Indonesia.
I've got some crazy people down here shouting at me, and they're giving me one of these ones. Make sure you hit that subscribe button.
And all things.
Where are you guys from?
Singapore.
Are you Singaporean?
But we live in Atlanta, Georgia.
Really? So what are you doing here then? This is a long way from...
Come see you.
Oh, really? You haven't been following me all day, have you? How you going? I'm Adam.
I'm Kwan.
Yeah. So that sounds like... Cherie? Serene and Kwan.
Kwan, yeah. I think Kwan, what you have. Are you recovered now from...
I'm 99%. I'm feeling just a little bit weary, but I'm...
Not that weary enough to come out and...
I am. I'd rather sit at home on the couch, but yeah, I mean, I enjoy getting out and about anyway. Yeah. So you live in Atlanta, Georgia.
Yeah.
You're originally from Singapore. How long have you lived outside of Singapore?
Waiting over a year.
Wow.
I've lived a third of my life in Singapore.
Yes.
Third in the US.
Yeah.
A third elsewhere.
Yeah. Okay.
Hoping to make Bali more of a
regular feature of your life.
More of a foundational place.
Do you think you might live here?
Well, that's what I've been trying
to figure it out.
Tips from you on the thread.
Yeah.
So you've been very helpful with your comments.
I guess it's possible. It just depends on. I mean, if you've already lived in different places in the world, it's much easier for you because now you know what some of that discomfort feels like when you first get to a place. Yeah. You know some of the pitfalls, you know what you got to do when you get there.
Yeah, exactly.
If you've never lived overseas before, it's a little bit more complicated, especially in somewhere like Indonesia where, yeah, things don't go smoothly all the time.
You know, the thing that's interesting about Indonesia is obviously it's so close to Singapore.
Yes.
So we feel like we're in the, we're neighbors.
Yes.
And yet it's very different.
Oh, very different. Yeah. It has changed a lot. I mean, it's become quite, well, it's a very wealthy country now, more wealthy than you can imagine, and it just keeps going up and up and up.
I think it's priced us out.
Yeah. I think so. I think that's fair to say as well for a lot of people. I think even local Singaporeans who are grinding it out there are finding it tough to get ahead, you know. Even getting one of the government houses is quite difficult these days, I think, you know.
Landmass has grown because they keep dumping sand, but it hasn't tripled.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So we're really excited to see you.
Well,
thank
where,
you. Well, it's a funny place for you to see me because not many people come down here. This is like the Sahara Desert.
When I saw this person holding this, that can't be him. I didn't recognize the shirt.
Yeah.
Then when I heard, running into him here.
See, you should thank me.
What were you doing going in this direction anyway? Because not many people go down here.
We
had not gone down here. That's
We've
the thing.
not. We just wanted to go to that paved area you
Yes.
walk.
Well, I just came from there. I just did a video on it. I just explained to the viewers. There's a couple of temples over there. So go and have a look at those. Pretty interesting over there. Yeah, it's just a different area. There's also that one over there, Muntik Siokan, which you're supposed to pay to get there, but sometimes there's no one there. And there's some camels over there. It's a bit weird, but it's just interesting to see.
Your comment thread. We're the ones who said lazy Susan.
That's very Chinese.
Exactly. Give it the tip on Gochi. I went to see Gochi. So I'm that guy. And I'm the guy peppering you with questions about the whole 6-month thing. So
it's interesting.
That was the one that we're trying to figure out the 6-month thing, but it's either monthly or year. Well,
if you want to find like monthly rentals, go west side and start walking around the streets. You'll find something.
That's the word with me.
Yeah. When you were explaining who you were in the comments, a lot of people that come up to me, because it's a one-way thing. I've got no idea who you are, so I relate to you by some comments that you might make, and if you've got a profile photo in there rather than just the letter K or whatever, it makes it easier as well.
Mine's the dog, so
Nice one. And people's handle is different to their names, and it's complicated. Nice to meet you.
All right, nice.
All right, see you. All right, see you online. Here we go. You meet people in all sorts of different places here in Sanur. Like this is a place truly that not too many people go to, so it's just a little bit surprising that people who watch the channel are actually in this area. All right, these crazy guys are running after me again. They want to get a photo, and I'm all for that. Let's go. I'm going to get a selfie with this too.
Let's do a selfie. There you go.
So I'm coming up to the end of the beachfront path. Is just there. Some of the best satay you'll ever get is along there from Warung Bukomang. I'm not sure how much they're charging these days, but it's not expensive, 20, 25,000, maybe even 30,000 these days, I don't know. You get a bunch of satays there, pork satay and a little soup, really good. And this end of the beach is just fabulous. I will show you one last look at what this beach looks like under these gorgeous blue skies that we've got today. Just a stunning, stunning day here in Sanur. One of the things that Kwan and Sirin remind me of is that one of the important things in life is to have these positive human interactions. Like it's more important than the beach and the weather. Although these things are important, those positive human interactions are really just, well, what makes life interesting. So you've always got to keep social, even if you're an introvert, you've still got to have some social interaction. There it is. That's what the beach looks like at the moment. Beautiful, isn't it? It's a good day for it. I mean, even going for a swim in there, I wouldn't go in that little area where there's all the weeds washed up, but just like 20 metres up, it's just like glorious turquoise water here in Sanur, and it's just beautiful. It's got a bit of a breeze going as well, so not quite as hot as it's been. Thanks very much for coming along for the ride today, and thanks for watching. Make sure you hit that subscribe button to keep up to date with all things Sanur and the rest of Indonesia. I'll catch you next time, and sampai jumpa.